Hello, I'm Casey Richardson with Castanet News, and welcome to our Meet the Candidate series for the Penticton-Summerland riding. I'm here with Tina Lee, running NDP. Tina, thanks for joining me.
Happy to be here. Thanks, Casey.
All right. For those who don't know you, a quick 15-second introduction.
Absolutely. I've been here almost a decade. I moved my family back to Penticton home after 2 decades of being overseas and working in human rights and government agencies because I wanted my children to have the same great life that I grew up with in small town BC. And I've been involved with local government and nonprofits since I've been here.
Great. And what is the most important issue facing the people of this riding, and how would you address it as an MLA?
Great question. I mean, for me, certainly affordability. That's what I hear on doorsteps every day, and that encompasses a number of things, certainly housing. When I think about how folks are struggling the most, and young people today can't even dream of buying a home, I'm really proud of the NDP policies, such as our Home Owners Initiative and the housing projects that we have online for Penticton. When I was part of Okanagan College's Board of Governors, I helped to secure the 101 room residence at the college, which was really meaningful for me. I heard from students that skipped meals and slept in their cars, and housing was a significant barrier for them getting their education. And these are the workforce and laborers and healthcare professionals we need. So certainly I think housing is the number one issue, and that affordability piece around that.
All right. And nobody in this riding has experience in the provincial legislature. Explain how you would tackle the challenge of being a first-time MLA, and in your case, first-time holding political office.
Absolutely. I guess we'd all be certainly a bit new. I've worked for our Member of Parliament, Richard Cannings, for quite some time. Before I came back to Canada, I advised Minister of Local Government in Australia, and I've worked with lots of government levels and also at the City of Penticton as a senior manager. So I feel like I've had a lot of experience on that staff side, and I've also done a lot of advocacy local. I spoke about that residence at the college, and that was really connecting administrators and students at the college with those folks making decisions in Victoria. And that's what I really hadn't seen in our province. So connecting folks to the services they need is, I felt, what was missing in our province or our region. And I wanted an official mandate to do that. So that's work that I've been doing as a change maker in human rights organizations and government my whole life.
Yes. So you feel that experience is basically leading you to this role?
Absolutely. I see a need, and I've been that person connecting folks in the past. I know how to operate the machinery of government, as it were, and I know where change is possible. So I feel like, not holding political office is still something that I understand how it works. And at the college, I think our budget that we oversaw was $140 million. So plenty of experience administrating around local government, administrative budgets, getting things done.
All right. And what changes would you like to see done in our region to help farmers following several years of devastating crop losses due to unpredictable climate?
Absolutely. Spoken and sat down with so many farmers, and it has been devastating. Certainly, I was happy that the Premier was here about 2 months ago to announce a suite of supports to farmers and growers. But I think this is just a first step. I think that climate change has really been devastating for our growers, and if we don't continue to take strong actions around climate change, we're just going to continue to see year after year. I think our opponents have an approach to agriculture that really supports large agribusiness, and our region is based on small family farms, and we need to keep supporting that model and food security as well as strong climate action. I think that agriculture has the attention of the Premier's office, the AG's office, the Labour office, and the announcement of the supports that we saw from Premier Eby is just the beginning of what we'll see to support agriculture in our region.
All right. Now, the NDP has held power for the last term, where the province has seen affordability and housing issues increase, numbers rise in overdose deaths, and healthcare issues. Why should the public trust the party can tackle these issues when some voters feel they haven't done so yet?
Thanks. That's a good question. And I won't deny that. There's still really tough challenges out there. And it's frustrating to hear our opponents simplify them to slogans. I think you'll see that there's varying political parties across the spectrum and across the continent that haven't figured these things out yet. But what I know is that I'm running with a party that cares about people, that has a record of making significant investments in the programs that we need, in hiring doctors, in training mental health and addictions professionals, in investing in housing and taking action on climate change. I think we're starting to turn the corner. I think that we're seeing, outward pressures of global inflation, certainly still even recovering from the pandemic. But I know that this government is taking big actions to tackle big challenges, and we certainly can't turn back now, specifically on that piece of mental health and addictions. Some of the investments that we're making, the treatment beds that we've created, and the proposal of secure care that's done with compassion through the redfish model that Premier Eby has proposed, I think would be pivotal for a region. And those 5 more centres across BC that they've announced, we certainly need an MLA that is fighting for treatment beds here in our region. And that's what's going to make the difference. It's going to be not making cuts to healthcare like the Conservatives have proposed. It's not privatizing our healthcare as the Conservatives have proposed. It's continuing to make those investments so we can get people the help they need when they need it. And we're starting to see that. And moving in the opposite direction now would really just be, disastrous for our province.
How did you feel on the pullback of Safe Supply?
I think safer supply is important to separate drug traffickers and dangerous drugs from people who need help. So this is advice that received from frontline professionals, police chiefs, but there was unintended consequences, and I think we saw folks, as far as decriminalization, using in public spaces that wasn't safe. And that's also what I like about this government, is they're willing to adapt and change when things need to be changed, and they listen. So for me, safer supply is about saving lives. We can't treat people who aren't alive, and prescribed alternatives are key ways to keep people alive. Drug use is not legal in public spaces, but we do need to make sure that we're helping people when they need it, and prescribed alternatives are a big part of that.
Right. And we've seen public opposition to the newly government-approved gravel mine in Summerland's Garnet Valley. Where do you stand on this issue, and what solutions do you propose for public concerns?
Thanks. Yeah, I know I've heard about this a lot, and I attended the town hall, and back in August I had the chance to sit down with Mayor Doug Holmes ahead of his meeting at UBCM with the minister, and we discussed then, what are the options and how we can oppose this. And to be clear, definitely opposed to this. I don't think this is the right development for our region. Some other candidates have proposed that they would have a private members bill or simply turn back the project if elected as MLA. But, I spoke about experience in government and navigating government, and those just simply aren't options. This is a statutory decision. It can't be overturned by an MLA or even a minister, and certainly not an independent private members bill. But that doesn't mean there's not significant things that we can do. And I've heard from this community, and I've sat down and chatted with folks, including James Pepper from Penticton Indian Band, and I think one of the key challenges in getting this decision reversed is a challenge that exists between Penticton Indian Band and Lower Similkameen Indian Band, and the rights that exist under the Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, and also some of the strong environmental assessment that our BC NDP government has supported. And I think that is where we will successfully oppose this project. And I think other candidates have to be honest about what opportunities exist and what they can achieve. And certainly I'll do my best to represent those voices in government.
And do you have some goals to work with the Indigenous community?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the first things our government did was to recognize the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. And I've heard from folks every day. Certainly, Indigenous people are concerned about what a BC government means, and the repeal of DRIPA, which is our act that recognizes that UN act. And folks certainly are afraid of what that means for some of the community benefit agreements that we have, some of the reconciliation efforts we have, some of the landmark negotiations we've had. I mean, we're making big progress on this files, and there's a reason that Indigenous communities, including the Grand Chief Stuart Phillip here in our community, have asked folks to be very careful with how they vote this election.
And finally, we may or may not end up with a majority government after this election. If you are elected, what is one local issue you would be willing to reach across the aisle on to support another party?
I think I'm always willing to reach across the aisle. I work for our Member of Parliament, Richard Cannings, and he's willing to work with anyone, really, who is willing to do good work. We need significant investments in housing in our community, in treatment beds, in wildfire protection. There's a number of things that we need to be working with all parties on, and I'd be happy to speak with anyone who's willing to do good work in our community.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, Tina. Click to Castanet for more candidate interviews leading up to the provincial election, which is on October 19th.
Thanks, Casey.
For Castanet News, I'm Casey Richardson.